Hello, everyone. We are live. Hello. And I'd like to invite welcome my awesome co-hosts, Kat from Kat's Novel Adventure, Kritz from Secrets Read. Woohoo! And today we're going to talk about My Life as a White Trash Zombie. And I have it on Kindle. You got a physical copy? Who's by again?
I'm
Marie.
jealous of Kat's copy.
You got what?
By Diana Rowland.
Diana Rowland, yeah, that's it, yeah. And look how marked that copy is, so we've got a lot to talk about. Yeah. So, wonderful booktubers, are we ready to go?
Mm-hmm.
I just want to first start off with, who's going to help me with the premise? Let's talk about the premise of the story. It's very basically for those that have not read it. Who's going to start me off?
You want to go, Christine?
I was trying to remember because I read this one a few weeks ago, but basically we have a young woman named Angel who is kind of down on her luck. Like, she hasn't had the best life so far. She maybe has not made the best decisions so far. And she wakes up one day in the hospital and is told that she had an overdose and almost died. And she kind of finds out that afterwards, things are a little different. Like, her body is a little different. Some of the habits she used to partake in are not working for her anymore. And she kind of ends up starting a whole new life after she finds that she's got some strange cravings.
Yeah,
that's a good way.
And a new job that helps her out there.
I think we have to add to that is that we need to tell everyone, okay, from now on, it's a spoiler review.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to bite our teeth into this book, and we're going to really get to grips with this book. It's, as you say, she's a white trash zombie. At the beginning, she's really nothing, and she comes from this very, very messed up home, alcoholic father, a dead mother, a loser boyfriend, and she's a felon. She's a drug addict, she's a pill addict. So she's coming from that. Yeah, she wakes up in ER. And I just found that premise so fascinating when I went into the book.
Mm-hmm.
I expected her to be a little bit more like, when you call it white trash zombie, I really expected her to be a little even more down on her luck. I to say she had a substance abuse problem, she was just a dabbler, I think.
Come on, and she's still pretty much close to rock bottom.
Yeah, she was on the path to maybe, getting there. Yes.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And we should mention that her mom died, but her mom also struggled with mental illness, and so that plays a part in, some issues that Angel has also. I think she has an issue with trusting people and getting close to people, and she doesn't have a lot of self-worth either.
And it definitely complicated her relationship with her father, being that he picked her over the mother type thing.
Yeah. And we're going to come to the father a bit later, but let's just say hello to whoever's here. Okay, we've got a fun comment here. Howdy, everybody. Happy World Ocean Day. Happy Name Your Poison Day. Happy Best Friends Day.
That seems like a weird combination.
Yeah. Okay, Stuart. Hi, I love the book. Hi, Stuart.
I have to watch Stuart's video. He did a review on this book, but I didn't want it to, taint my
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually saw that. I'm going to watch that after this.
Same, well. Yeah.
Okay, love the book. Hi, Zombies co-host. Do you like tomato soup with tasty, chunky brains? Hey, man.
I do not like tomato soup.
I don't either.
Nothing better
With
than
or
tasty,
without
brains.
brains, I don't. But maybe some split pea brain soup. I'd give that a try.
Tasty, meaty brains. Yogurts, not yogurts. What do you call them? Smoothies. That's what I want. To enhance my performance.
Cliff, are you on brains right now?
Okay. moved the book. It had zombie vibes. Yeah, Kritz, you mentioned to me. Zombie.
Me?
Yeah, you mentioned to me Zombie, the TV show.
I've never seen it. I don't think it was me.
Oh, who talked to me about it? Oh, maybe it was someone else.
It seems like quite a few people kind of compared it to it that have seen it. I haven't seen the show either, but I think what it is iZombie was adapted actually from a comic book series called iZombie that was created by Chris Robertson and Michael Allred. So I was kind of curious as to if iZombie came out before this book, or if this book came out before. This book came out before the television show, but the iZombie comic book came out about a year before. So I don't know if it's just coincidental, if there was any kind of, but the main difference is, from what I understand from the iZombie TV show, she's not a white trash zombie. I think somehow she becomes a zombie because she attends a party or something. I think the similarity is just that she works at a medical examiner's office so that she has access to brains.
Yeah.
I feel like at this time there was so much zombie content coming out in video games, movies, shows. So they probably all kind of influenced each other, you know?
Yeah. And I will tell you, I think that this would be easily adapted into a TV show. Just the way it's set up. It reads kind of like television episodes, you know?
Yeah. Okay, so you also got your bad. I had to pick up an interesting detective work on Angel. She went to the emergency room a few times. How did they not pick up that her heartbeat is much slower? When was this? Can you remember?
I wonder if it's just because she was just changed. I don't know. I mean, I've only read the first one, so I'm guessing that as the series progresses, we'll kind of learn a little bit more about how that affects her body. But she had just gotten changed, so maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe
also too, Kritz, she had drugs in her system. Wouldn't that slow your heartbeat down too?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were reviving her from what they said, you know, an OD. So, yeah. Okay. I mean, I don't know how much slower her heart rate is going. Yeah. If she's full of brains, maybe, you know, how like when she eats, she's like kind of back to her regular self. So maybe like she seems more human after she's fed. I'm not sure. I have a feeling that if we progress the series that we'll learn a little bit more about it.
Yeah,
I agree.
My biggest fan.
But good detective work, bad. Hey, Anita.
Hey, Anita.
Hope you're feeling better.
I thought the book was better on the topic on hitting rock bottom, but yet something terrible happened, ends up on better terms.
I like that too, where she says like it's her dying was like the start of her life, pretty much.
Yeah. Kind of ironic. When she was alive, she was at her lowest point, but she had to die to learn all these lessons. Yeah. Okay. Love, Swank, love Dawn autocorrect.
Oh, it says moved the book. I didn't even realize that.
Okay, now I want quickly. Let's have a rating for the book. Stars, initial thoughts. So we've kind of done our initial thoughts already. I mean, I would just go around and what we gave the book. And if it was less than 5 stars, what part of the book maybe wasn't as effective as other parts for you. I'm going to go clockwise. Kat?
Oh, okay. I ended up giving it 4 stars. I teetered between 4 and 5. So actually it probably would land more like a 4.5. Unfortunately, Goodreads doesn't give a half-star rating, but I think it would lean more towards 4 stars. I felt like it probably could have been tightened up a little bit more. I found it long in a couple of places. kind of dragged here or there, but overall, I enjoyed the character. I thought, I don't know if we're going into all of that stuff yet, but I mean, I enjoy the character of Angel. I think that there's a lot of different topics that are explored in the book that are important for showing the progression of a character. I mean, you do see quite a big arc for Angel, and she does have a lot of personal growth from beginning to end, but it wasn't as horror-centric either. So I think going into it, I expected it to be more that way. So I think that kind of, it's a good blend of like the horror aspect of becoming a zombie, but there's a lot of heart and there's also a lot of humor. So I guess even the scenes where, bodies are being ripped up or they're being described, it's not as horrific as other zombie books that I've read. So it kind of landed 4. Yeah, I mean, if I had to give it a 4, I think would be a good place for it.
I'm actually going to touch on that later on. Yeah, where do we fit this book? Because I don't see it as a horror at all, but we're gonna talk about that, and also the scare factor. Kritz?
If I'm being honest, I think it's closer to a 3.5 for me. Not that I didn't fully enjoy it. I did fully enjoy it. I had a good time with it. To me, it was just like a popcorn read. It was just a fun read. And I do think it very much reads like a first book in a series where I would continue this. So even though 3.5 sounds kind of low for me, I would continue it. It's got me interested enough because I like our main character, but I just wanted a little bit more to happen. I commented on my on one of my videos that I thought it was kind of horror light, and someone told me that as the series progresses, that changes. So I'm very much interested to see like how that can change. But I do think for a first book in a series, it was enough to get me interested. It just wasn't mind blowing for me, but I did really like Angel, and I'm gonna keep reading them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I gave it a 4-star on Goodreads, but I tend to agree with you. It's more like 3.5 to me. The fact that you can't give 3.5 stars, I bumped it up to 4 because I absolutely loved Angel, and I thought her character arc and just seeing things from her point of view, being inside her head, the dialogue, and just it's kind of this character that's just so interesting. I think where it fell away from me a little bit. I mean, I really loved the first part, her struggling with what she is, but the mystery, I enjoyed it. And the kind of decapitations, the serial killer that was on loose, all these other characters, all these other men, funny enough, and just I found it kind of dragged in the middle quite a bit, but I really enjoyed the ending.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh. He got struck by lightning. Oh, wait, he's back.
I'll be back. Hang on. Any minute now.
Yeah, you're back. You're back now.
Yeah, there I am. Maybe because of the stormy weather about. Hope it's not. But I really enjoyed it. I will continue the series, like it says.
Yeah, for Goodreads, I will round my 3.5 up to 4. Mm-hmm. It doesn't hit the same way like what I would normally rate a 4-star,
Yeah, but as Kat says, I think my problem was that it did drag a bit in the middle.
Yeah, I think I agree with Christine because and you and I, Cliff, were kind of talking about this before we started the stream, and it's a problem that you see sometimes with the first book in a series. A lot of time you trying to get all that character development and backstory laid down. You're trying to get the wherever the setting is. So there's a lot of that going on, and I think that tends to be a little bit tedious. I don't necessarily think it's anything against Diana Rowland, and that's probably why she picks up speed. I just find that in series in general, especially books like this where they're written almost like watching a television series to
like
me.
Episodic.
Very episodic, kind of. But I think once they get their feet on the ground, and they know where they're going with their character, and things are developing for them. I think sometimes you find the other books in the series that kind of pick up. So I'm planning on trying to finish. Well, not finish it, but continue with the series.
Yeah, I just like to encourage everyone that's watching. So, like when we got here, stars, initial thoughts. Tell us how many stars you gave the book. So, drop us a message, drop us a comment, and tell us how many stars you gave the book and why. So, for each section, you can actually just talk to us as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Kritz.
I was just going to say something that you touched on, Cliff, was that she's surrounded by so many male characters, and she really is like the only female character. I kind of don't love that we see her kind of setting up to go into another relationship in this book with another man, and I would just love to see her kind of grow as like an independent person before we just start pairing her up with somebody.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't fall off.
Well, you almost wonder. I'm very curious to see what's going to happen next, because I think the reason she's drawn to Marcus, yes, there's like that initial attraction, but when she finds out that Marcus is similar to her, and then also the one that saved her life, it kind of makes her, I think, feel like I am worth, being alive. And this person took the time to help me, not only help me to be alive again or reanimated, but took the time to set it up for me to have an easier time, because we don't know much about Marcus's backstory at this point. But I'm almost wondering if it's going to be something to where it's that you're comforting to me because of what you've done for me in my life, but not necessarily that they're going to stay together as a couple.
I hope that it's a friendship thing, only because she just has the shittiest relationships with men, and she just finally kind of leaves this boyfriend type person sort of that's holding her back, and just to go right into the next one. I just hope that it's more of a friendship thing, that they can work together, or he kind of teaches her the ropes of being a zombie.
But, sorry, I was being inappropriately funny there, but it was my favorite part of the whole book, the last couple of lines. It was so funny. The last few pages were just so funny. Yeah, sorry, I was being inappropriate there, but it was. Got to agree.
Cliff's biggest worry is that it's going to fall off. Like the first question he asks when he becomes a zombie.
Well, they did even have a joke in there. They had a joke in there about it, about the tip or whatever. So I just thought that was kind of funny too. When she was kind of thinking about that.
I mean, these are important things to worry about.
Characters. Okay, I'm trying to remember where I was. You've got that? I gave it 5 stars. Oh, Bad said, I gave it 4 stars and I'll continue the series. Excellent. I gave it 5 stars. Stuart says, I rated it 4.5 stars. Only issues were I had a bit of trouble keeping track of all the characters. And
I think that's also an issue with starting a new series, starting the first book of a series, is you're trying to get everybody who's a key player in the story in there. And I say that only because Lori and I chose a book for the Mardi Gras readathon that was the first in the series. And we had the same similar issue where you had to kind of keep track of who was what or whatever. And you've got some that are major players, and then you have some that are just like supporting cast.
Yeah, especially since she's starting like a new job, and then there's and they're all guy names too, so you're trying to keep track of all of them. I agree.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, and I felt Angel sometimes drew conclusions that I felt the facts didn't justify. It's just minor quibbles.
Yeah, but 4.5 is still a good rating.
I actually look forward to seeing his review after this. I'm going to go watch that. Okay, Bad. I did listen to the audiobook along with the physical book. The narrator was an excellent experience. I felt like it was Angel.
I'll
Yeah,
have to look
actually,
for the
I actually
audio.
saw reviews, and I heard it was the audio, the narrator apparently really fit the kind of feel of the place. That's what I heard. Kind of like a southern kind of. I think there was even an award for the narrator. I don't know. But that's,
I'll have to look for it. I don't think my library had any of these books.
Yeah, my library didn't have the audio, so that's why I couldn't listen to it.
awesome character, overcoming addiction, abuse, and being at the first points. Love the romance of it. Not friendship, romance.
You know, like romance is just gonna make me run away. I'm just like, no.
Yeah, but that wasn't until towards the end. I mean, I really
I
wouldn't
know.
say
I
that
just
there was
want to
much
see her.
romance. Well, no, I understand what you're saying, Christine.
Yeah.
So I'm glad it wasn't like, like this thing that started at the very beginning kind of thing. And I really wouldn't say there was much of a romance between Randy and Angel.
No, and even like she was just kind of like, sometimes he calls me, sometimes he doesn't. She wasn't like hung up on this guy to begin with. I just would, I want to see her grow as a person since she's like kind of breaking out of her old habits,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Good. Coffee and chocolate. Hello. 5 stars. Good. 10 stars. And it was fantastic. Yeah, I know a lot of people absolutely love this book.
I saw Amy Noel gave it 5 stars.
Mm-hmm.
I was seeing a lot of people really love
Quite a few people did.
Yeah.
Janet Literary Love gave it 4. One of my friends, Eleanor, gave it 4. So
I don't think we realized it was a series either when we put it up for vote to begin with.
Yeah, we didn't know.
I kind of find, just in my research of trying to find zombie books,
there were a lot of
there
series.
are quite a few zombie books that are series.
Yeah, we did find that out. But I don't think we realized this one, but ended up being kind of a good surprise.
Well, so it's a pleasant departure from your usual zombie tropes.
Yes.
It's lovely.
I agree with that because I don't think that I'm like the biggest like zombie fan when it comes to like rehashing that same story over and over. A lot of them tend to go with the same story, I think, but I haven't read a ton of zombie books. Kat could probably school me, but it was nice to have something like from a different perspective, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All you got to do is eat brains and super glue. Meanwhile,
super glue.
No, I'll get my mouth stuck together.
No, I think the super glue is for something else.
Oh, bad. No, all you need is brain milkshake and smoothies beforehand.
I'd be making some milkshakes. Try to cover up that brainy flavor.
Yes, exactly.
The front covers are fabulous.
Yeah, and
they really are.
I have to give a shout out to Bad too, because Bad did her version of this cover, which this cover is phenomenal. And Bad looks phenomenal. I had been eyeing this book for the last couple of years and just never was like, it's part of a series. I'm not going to pick it up. I don't want to do a series, blah, 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 blah. But then when y'all picked the books that you picked, I already had read World War Z. So I'm like, not that I wouldn't mind rereading it, but it's like if I could read something new, then I would love to do that. So I thought, ooh, this will be my opportunity, even though I don't want to start a series.
I don't think it's like, after the first one anyway, it's not so heavy that you could wait a year to read the second book. And it's not like you're going to forget this crazy world building or anything like that. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And I did appreciate that it does take place in Louisiana and they got their parishes and, they use parish instead of county. Because I was going to say if they did not, then they did not do their research very well. But I will let everybody know that there is no such parish as St. Edward's Parish in Louisiana. That does not exist. So it's a fictional little town. So I guess you could take a little more liberties about, describing certain things. I'm just curious. Also appreciated the fact that they didn't add a lot of share and all that kind of stuff, that they think everybody in Louisiana talks that way, and that is not the case.
A lot of what?
Like, hey, Cher, oh, come into the bayou, Cher, and all this stuff. Okay, people in Louisiana do not talk like that. Maybe if you get in Cajun country, but if you're not, then you should not be talking like that.
I didn't feel like Louisiana had a huge role in the
exactly. So I appreciated the fact that it wasn't like, set there and whatever, but they didn't make it a caricature, I guess.
When you said Cher at first, I thought you meant the singer. I'm like, Cher, what does she have to do with?
No, but it's spelled like pretty much the same way. So, but that's the whole point. It's a deer, like, hey dear, you know what I'm saying? But it drives me crazy about things that are set in Louisiana with that kind of stuff. It's like, and not everybody sounds like a Southern belle either. So,
yeah, I don't get Southern belle vibes from Angel.
No.
No.
But let's talk maybe more about Angel. She really steals the show, for me, anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, for most people, I think that read this book, her character arc, maybe, and also some other favorite characters that stood out for you. Maybe the detective, or least favorite characters for me, like the father. It's a serious domestic violence there. And yeah, tell me what you think about some of the characters. Are we going to go clockwise again?
Oh, yeah, you have to tell me who's going where.
Or should we go the other way around this time?
Yeah, we'll go the other way around. Let's hear what Christine has to say.
Honestly, I don't think a lot of the characters stood out to me other than Angel. And while the father is not like obviously a favorite character, I do think he plays a really important role in the book. He's going to play an important role in the decisions that Angel makes. And even though she's in this relationship that's abusive, I think she still recognizes that her dad is in there somewhere, and that he is also suffering not only from alcohol addiction, but the loss of her mother. So I think it's a complicated situation. But I like that she's seeing these patterns of behavior and trying to break out, even if she has nowhere to go. I really love that she's a flawed character, that she knows that she's made some mistakes and she owns up to it, and is just kind of like getting to experience life with new eyes or new brains or whatever you want to call it. But she's getting to have this second chance at life, and being turned into a zombie is like the best thing that's happened to her, because it's made when she tries to use drugs, she can't. It just has no effect on her. So it's really it's taken that decision away from her completely. So I just really like that she's a flawed character and trying to like claw her way out of this hole that she's kind of been in for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I just want to add to that before we go to UK. When I was reading that one section with the father, I remember he destroys her stash. She goes home and she's reliant on that. And yes, she's turning her life around. But that is basically what she needs in order to turn her life around. And I started thinking about addiction. That yes, you self-destruct, you're an addict, but you also destroy the loved ones around you and destroy other people around you. And in the act of trying to turn her life around, I think the father very nearly completely derails that with his addiction and with his issues. I just thought that was an interesting look at addiction, perhaps, and what it means in the book, destructive properties. Mm-hmm. It was one thing when I read, I thought about. Here she is trying to do her best. She's trying to turn her life around. She's trying to be responsible, and she's saving everything. So she's working, and everything she's doing, her father nearly destroys anyway.
He doesn't see any of that. He's so
No,
wrapped
no,
up in his own
no,
life.
I agree. No, he doesn't see it. He doesn't see
Yeah.
it. But it plays a role in the book in the terms of that's what addiction can do. It's not just about it destroying yourself. It's about destroying your loved ones, people around you.
Mhm.
Right?
I think that dad is one of the more real characters in the book, too, because after everything happens, he apologizes and he truly does feel bad. But just that cycle of trying to be forgiven and then just going back and doing the same shit all over again. So I do think he is one of the more real characters in the book.
Well, I think there's a lot of there's a lot of kind of harsh reality in the book. From the setting to the characters, to the lessons she is learning, to the life she has led. It's very real. And you know, it's he's a very real character, and maybe more so than others because besides her, and maybe that's why that scene, and I kind of knew it was going to happen, and maybe that's why that scene hit me a bit. Here she is on the brink of turning her life around, and now she's going to really struggle, and she has to be determined even more so than before because of her father, what her father has done to her. What
do
do
you
think
Kat? That she will consider turning her father?
No, I don't think so.
No.
I mean, towards the end
because
of the book,
it would change him.
Say that again.
It would change him for the better.
It would change him.
Yeah.
But that is an interesting thought for maybe if I read book 2, something might happen. But yeah, I mean, I read like teasers of the other books. I haven't read them yet.
I haven't even read the backs. Yeah.
I heard stuff like Zombie Mafia. Anyway. I heard stuff like Apocalypse. So I've heard some interesting things with the next book. So
I haven't even peeked.
I peeked because I do want to read more. Kat, what do you say?
Well, I mean, clearly for me, Angel is the one I'm the most interested in because one, she is flawed. I like flawed characters. I like the fact that they've got to try to figure out where they fit in this scheme of things. She is already at a disadvantage just because of her socioeconomic status, because class does play a part, and it's brought up with the way she feels like she's unseen. People are not looking at her in any kind of like a positive light. She's very clearly worried about these police officers that she's encountered or the paramedic that she's encountered because of her past. Then she's also got the harsh reality of, growing up with a mentally ill mom that ends up dying. I believe she commits suicide in jail. And then her dad, who is addicted to alcohol. And drugs do play a part with the people she socializes with, whether she's, addicted herself, which I don't think she is. I think, like Christine said, she's more of a dabbler. She takes it when she needs it to take the edge off or not be so stressed out or whatever the case may be. But I do think for her, though, it's kind of it's ironic that she is already unseen as a person and she has to not be seen as a zombie because it would not be socially acceptable. So even though she's turning her life around, she's got to be kind of careful, because if she's too good at her job or whatever, people are going to notice her, and they already kind of start doing that because, she's a tech that's not getting sick at the sight of dead bodies and, all that kind of stuff. But I also kind of did like Dr. LeBlanc, and I liked Darrell and even Marcus, just for the fact that they kind of know that what her situation has been, and they're okay with giving her like that second chance.
Yeah.
Like they're not going to judge her.
We know your history.
Right.
But
And they know where she's coming from. They know her father is an alcoholic. It's a small town. Everybody knows everything. So I kind of like the fact that they all kind of are looking out for her in a sense, kind of like mentors or father figures in that way. I like that relationship. But yeah, I mean, I did think the guy Kang got what he deserved, because he was being sort of like a drug dealer, but for brains.
Yeah.
Because he knew, that was the thing that was fascinating to me, is the breakdown of the characters, the zombies, if they had not had food. It reminds me of vampires. If they don't drink blood, then they're going to get ill and all that. So they have a need to feed like vampires do. Like, I
But
did
if
like that
Angel
aspect
didn't
of it.
have the background that she had, she wouldn't have had, wouldn't have been able to stand up to that guy like she did either.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, and also too, she could stand up to Nick, and also Zeke. I was pretty proud of her with how she handled that whole situation with Zeke. But she had something. She had a high stake in it, because if he tried to steal her body with that brain, then she was going to be the one that was going to suffer. So she wasn't going to. She was going to do whatever it took to keep her brain.
That's the thing about hitting rock bottom. You're gonna fight tooth and nail for what you can. Like, that's all you have left.
But I also have to say about Angel too, is she's a very loyal person. Because she's loyal to her father, even though he has been so hard on her and abuses her physically and emotionally. And then she's also loyal to the people that she's encountering. She's loyal to Kang. I mean, she could have been like, oh no, I'm not going to do any, I'm going to keep the brains for myself. And she's also loyal to Zeke, because she could have ratted him out, about whatever his shenanigans are. Well, of course, we find out that he's not who we think. I mean, who we or initially think it is. So I just find she's pretty loyal to the people in her life, even if. So I think that was a good telling
almost
sign.
loyal to a fault, though.
Yes, she is. But I have to tell you, I think this is where you start seeing her character development change, is when her boyfriend Randy wants to get all cozy with her, and the whole reason is because they want her to get the pills for him, and she's basically like, screw you, I'm not jeopardizing what I'm starting to have in my life for a loser like you. So that's like her really like an indication that you really are a loser.
Yeah. She already kind of knew it, but yeah.
But that confirmed it, I think.
She's trying to be helpful, Cliff.
No.
It's just,
Yeah.
for the future.
Yeah, fabulous. But no, she says something just now as well. So let's just have a look. Hello, Mindy.
Hey, Mindy.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. And then, sorry, Cliff, my bad. Angel is a cute character, humble personality. I love how she's so much brave. Yeah, she is very courageous.
She's definitely
what you were both saying earlier really amounts to the fact that she's sassy and she's street smart. And yeah, it would have been very easy for her to just give in to Randy, whatever. But she set herself on a new course, and she shows a lot of courage. Just, I'm not going to smoke this now. I'm not staying here now. I've got to go to work. I like it about her. Okay. Stuart says, I loved Angel. Like that after becoming a zombie, she tried to get her life together. I didn't always agree with her decisions. It made her more real. I love Marcus not being a stereotypical cop.
Yeah, no one gets it right away. I mean, she's trying to change her life, but she's still going to make mistakes.
Yeah. I gave this 3.5 stars.
Yeah.
Pretty close to all of us, eh?
Oh, Dingo made it.
Oh, how's it Dingo?
Yeah, they said they were going to be on a plane.
You're fine.
I was greatly surprised she kept accepting bad men and her dad. No judgment, though. It's tough.
I think she knows that she's the only thing keeping her dad alive at this point. So the guilt that she would feel to completely abandon him, even though it's in her best interest, she knows that she's basically leaving her dad to die because he's going to end up, killing himself in a way with alcohol. So
Death wasn't fair. Death didn't give warning. Death hit nice people and nasty people. It didn't give a shit. Welcome to death. Book quote. I kind of remember that.
And the one thing I did kind of feel bad about Angel is the fact that she was not given the opportunity. Like, she didn't get to make that decision. I felt like she didn't have a lot of options of having control in her life. She didn't have control at home. She didn't have really a lot of control, like with her relationship with Randy. It was what it was. It was like, that wasn't going to go anywhere. And she couldn't, even though she was making bad decisions, I think sometimes just her place in society or her place in the community didn't allow her to be able to do some of the things that she wanted to do. And here she was in a situation where someone had to drug her to take advantage of her. So she lost control in that aspect. And then somebody who cared about her and thought she deserved a chance decided, let's go ahead and just change her into this. So in a way, I feel kind of bad for her with that. I mean, I'm glad that it all worked out, but it could have gone horribly wrong. And it also, that was the one thing that kept me going in the novel was who turned her, and were they doing it for selfish reasons or were they doing it for good? So I'm glad it worked out that it was for good, because there was so many possibilities of who could have done it, like saved her. That was one thing I did like about the novel too, was finding out towards the end, and putting those pieces together.
I want to learn more about like how you turn somebody and like all of the way that this world works. I mean, it kind of sounds like vampires, but I would love to hear like more about how all of that
started. And how it started. Like, how is it virus based? Is it
background, the backstory?
Yeah. Because that's what fascinates me about zombies is how did the zombie become? Like, how did it start? Because there's different ways that a zombie can come about.
Yeah, but this is like an intentional thing you have to do, it seems like, not just unintentionally like infecting people. So
right.
So Bad wants to be cremated. You're gonna miss out on all the fun, Bad. Okay. It would be cool to eat a brain with intelligence, so I can be intelligent.
Yeah,
eating brains for an upgrade.
It would be interesting if you like learned everything that they had when you ate their brain.
Yeah, upgrade. I like it. Talking gaming here. So I suppose if you eat someone like Randy's brain,
then
it might be a downgrade. Might be a downgrade.
Right.
You just get a little dumber, and then you have
to.
I
do think it was funny when she discovered that the smell was coming from her, and then that's when she realized that this was a side effect of not feeding. I just thought that was hilarious, because it's like you don't think about the fact that I did like how that played into it. So the stakes were higher for her to have to eat the brains. It wasn't like she just became a zombie and now let's decide what I'm going to do and let's see if I'm going to do it in a humane way,
I also like that Randy still slept with her, even though he thought she smelled like corpse. He's like, it's like, oh, well, I'll take it.
Someone like me is pretty desperate. He'll sleep with anything. So this kept me at the first page and I wanted to keep eating. Brain eating made me cringe a bit. It was kind of icky, but it was... I think for someone who's a hardcore horror fan,
it could have been worse.
Yes, it could have been a lot worse. Yeah.
They're looking forward to reading more in the series. Okay, how's it, Jen?
Hey, Jen.
Hi, everyone. I finally was able to hop on. Hi, Jen. I'm very late. Hi, Alicia. Yo. I love this book. Angel was such a great main character. I love the unique spin on it. Yeah. And that's the whole thing, this book. And I know that others like it now. And the more, maybe the movie or the series Zombie. I haven't seen it, but I heard it's similar. It's like they're trying to change the zombie genre so that it's like a first person in the person's head dialogue. I think there's a book or a movie called Warm Bodies I read about that I would actually like to read. Kat, you're nodding your head.
Yeah,
Have you read
I've seen the movie, but I haven't read the books. I didn't realize they were based on books until Lauren at Happy Haunts Library told me it's a series. So you have another series that you would be reading if you started. But she highly recommends that, as zombie literature. The movie is interesting because you're getting into the fact that zombies have emotions and they want to love and they, want to, have normal lives. So it's just another, a different avenue taking zombies, not so scary, in the sense of how we think of as normal zombies.
Yeah. Okay, then before we go to the next thing, if you had the ability to turn zombies for you, yes, of course.
It depends on the person.
I was going to say, not only that though, it's a little bit different to get brains than it is. Like if I had to turn someone into a monster, I probably would turn them into a vampire before I turn them into a zombie.
Yeah,
just because access to get blood is so much better. And you could actually not even harm anybody. You could just go to a blood bank if you needed to get blood.
But I want to know more about these zombies.
Yeah.
Because what makes the infection? What is it? I want to, like you say, I want to know the backstory, and maybe that'll come out in the second and third book. So all we know is that she needs brains to become a super zombie.
Well, yeah, because it's very, very interesting to find out. It's interesting to find out because we know it's something that is like ancestral. Because the pizza guy is very old. They find out that his identity is, and that's why they're so confused about it. And Kang's been around for a long time. So it's one of those things that you can live prolonged. So there's similarities that these zombies are very similar to vampires. So you almost wonder if there is some sort of a disease or, that took place at some point. It makes sense
so that they wouldn't want to have too many zombies around.
Right.
Because maybe they want a few friends because they don't want to live, but brains are hard to come by, like you said.
Mm-hmm. And also the fact that they are limited to human brains. A vampire could eat, or feed off of anything that has blood. Whereas you couldn't eat animals. Like these zombies can't feed off of animals, and they're not feeding off of flesh. They specifically can only feed off of brains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit different than our traditional zombies as well.
Yeah.
I think we've covered most of the themes already. What do you say? Was there anything you would like to add, Kat? I mean, in terms of, we got the whole thing of her transformation. We got addiction,
identity, self-worth. I mean, all that was in there.
All that is in there. I mean, I think we've already covered all that. I want to talk about. We spoke about this is not a horror. I'm going to say creep, scare, gross factor. I think the only thing that really fits in with this book is a gross factor, and it's very light. It's horror light. It's she's carving up corpses, poking around, and eating the brains. But really, besides that, there's not a lot of horror or stuff that you would associate with horror.
No,
right.
She's
I mean, it's subtle. It's horrific that you would become a zombie.
She's not killing people to get to obtain these brains either. So,
I mean, you say it's horrific that you become a zombie, but then again, you start to get zombie superpowers if you have enough.
Well, that's true. That is true. But I mean, even if you think about it, Zeke wasn't trying to necessarily kill anybody per se. He just wanted the brains. I mean, the person out of anybody that was causing the most horror to me was Ed, because he was literally going out there and cutting the heads off of zombies and then burning them because of what happened to his family, from his trauma or whatever. So in that sense, you had that horror, aspect of it, but they didn't really go into like the body horror of anything that was happening. Or like the scenes, even when they're action and all that, it's not so horrific.
I found the most horrifying thing was domestic violence, and that was like a couple of pages. Where she gets absolutely smashed by her, by her dad, beaten up.
Yeah.
That for me was definitely the most
Right.
horrible thing. Yeah. Everything else was a little bit gross, tiny bit creepy. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the only thing that scared me was the situation with her father. That's it.
Yeah.
Also, too,
I
I
would
thought it
consider,
was horrific too about the guy drugging her, and putting her in the car so that he could go rape
Yeah.
her. That to me, again,
we were finding out
a
about that
human
like
monster. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, the things
Yeah.
that are horrific in my sense, like a true horror, would have been the human aspects of, the dark side of human nature,
yes.
Yeah.
kind of thing.
That to me is always, even in full on horror, that's always the worst for me, or the scariest.
Because think about it, in most zombie stories, the zombies to me are not what's scary about a zombie story. It is the human beings that you are left
the way
with
they react.
in that post-apocalyptic setting that are more horrible. I mean, if you watch The Walking Dead, your villains are the ones that are scarier than the actual zombies. Yeah, the zombies are gross, and you have to figure out how to get away from them because you don't want to be bitten. But that to me is not as scary as the people who are intelligent enough to try to take you out and do horrible things to you.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Absolutely. Agree. I mean, I love post-apocalyptic fiction.
I do too.
Something like Swan Song. Swan Song is perfect for me because it's real people. And it was almost completely, okay, there was one, the kind of good versus evil, but most of the time, what are you going to do to survive a situation where there's a nuclear holocaust, a nuclear winter, and there's horrible people out there that want to eat you or want to do things to you? That for me is far more scary than even something like it, scary
Seeing
clown.
what people will do to get ahead, not caring about anybody else but themselves.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Then we got least favorite scenes. Let's just say scene. What is a scene that really stood out for you? Impact on you in this book? A really a favorite scene. Not necessarily an impact, but maybe it could be amusing or comical scene or whatever. Favorite scene. Where are we going first?
I don't think that, I don't know if that's my favorite, but I do think that the scene with her father is probably one of the most important because it pushes her enough to make a certain decision to put herself first and to get out of that situation. So, and because it was just such a real situation to me, I guess that's my favorite in just that, like her character growth.
Yeah.
And also I don't remember a lot of the rest.
I have to say my favorite scenes were anywhere where there are multiple scenes, anywhere where Angel had to try to navigate getting her food and try to act as normal as possible. Like she, goes on off hours and she has to lie about her watch. And then Nick turns around and buys her a watch just to be nice. The fact that she discovers that the smell is herself because she's decaying because she hasn't had enough. Or the fact that she's in there and she's trying to eat her brains real, and then she's wiping her mouth and she's worried she might have brain matter hanging out of her teeth. It's just all of those scenes. I just loved all of that because it showed her trying to navigate a world that she has no clue whatsoever. No one really wants to help her. And then also to the scene with Kang where she was not 100% sure that she was a zombie. And Kang is like, how can you not know? It's like I confirmed it for you, but she had to have Kang confirm it for her, before she realized that there was something terribly wrong with her, which I thought was pretty funny. So I liked all of those scenes, with her as far as I think in some ways they could have not had as many scenes with Randy. He was like one of my least favorite people. So it's just
he was, I agree with you. Actually, the scenes where she has to face up to what she needs to eat those brains. She needs to get out of those very tricky situations. She starts to smell. And that's why that scene with her father, I was thinking, this is coming. I know this is coming. And how the hell is she going to get brains? Her whole stash is destroyed because of her father's
Yeah.
And she was finally
Yeah.
sitting pretty with her stash too. It took her a while to get there.
She worked
Yes.
so hard. Yeah, she worked so hard to get that stash, and she was, and I knew it was coming. And yeah, he messed up everything for her. But I have to say, I love the ending. Okay, not the ending. Okay, I know, I love the ending.
Also, too, I love the part where when she realizes what the dog is looking for, and that she's terrified that the dog is gonna sniff her out, like. So I think the great thing about where she is that she can have like that off smell. She can smell a little off because she works in that environment kind of thing. But and also too, I liked how it was played that Marcus it was never evident. He cared about her, but it was never evident that he was like, I kind of was like, is it Ed? Is it Marcus? Is it Dr. LeBlanc? I'm just like, it kept me guessing until like the end of it.
Yeah,
And
I
then when
didn't
she
think
had
it
that
was
scene with Ed and she realized that something was wrong, I was like, it has to be Marcus.
Yeah. Well, I really enjoyed that last action sequence. I thought it was very well done.
Yes.
The whole final discovery and chunking on as many brains as possible and getting it super speed, kind of super zombie. I think that might be a sign of the books to come. I think there might be more of that, and I actually found that really fun. I enjoyed any scene with her in it. I felt it dragged a bit with all the, the kind of mystery in the middle. But yeah, she's a great character. So if it does speed up
I
a bit,
didn't really care about the mystery, but I enjoyed watching her, figure it out.
Figure it out, negotiate through all these. Yeah.
And then, Kat, you mentioned the watch thing. I'd forgotten about that, but that also shows us like her self-worth and how much that was meaningful to her. And didn't she like always call him like Nick the Dick or something like that?
Yes.
And then she's like, oh, wow, sometimes people aren't what you think. And that she's just so touched by such a little gesture, I thought was cool.
Because I think there's a part of her, even though she's had a rough life and she's kind of been around the block as far as like street smarts and all that kind of stuff, I think there's part of Angel that is still like naive about just social interactions and how to act in the real world, because these are people that she wouldn't normally hang around with. And all she's had to do is compare it to people like Randy and Clive
people
and her
that are
dad.
always letting her down.
Yes, always letting her down. So it's very surprising. And even though Nick is kind of like a douchebag, the reason he is because he needs the validation from other people that he's doing a great job and all this kind of stuff. And he might see her kind of as a threat, coming in like, who are you? Like, I'm in school, and who are you?
She was kind of handed this job.
Yeah. So that's
like,
so
let people start helping out with autopsies like that seemed a little,
I'm still trying to finish Pet Cemetery.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Vampire life would be easier. You live off of blood donations or something.
And it's a little sexier than, rotting from the inside.
Well, and also too, the same premise too, if you think about it, vampires only need a little blood, so they don't have to really drain their victims unless they're vicious, like 30 Days of Night, but it's the same premise with the brains. All she needs is a little bit, to help her like get through the day kind of thing. So the whole point of, vampires just have it easier, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Just don't go out in the sunlight.
Yeah, that's true. Well, unless you're a vampire that can have a special ring that allows you to do that, like Vampire Diaries.
Kat knows all.
I'm just saying. Vampires was my thing before zombies. So yeah, I like a lot of vampires. I like monsters in general. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us got into horror because of vampires.
Yeah. Just let's remind Alicia of our vote or rating. 4 stars.
4 stars.
I gave it 3.5, but a high 3.5.
Yeah. 3.75.
Yes.
Then we got fantasy horror, Emily. Okay. The TV aspect was both horrifying for me too. So realistic, unfortunately. Yeah, it was pretty brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll continue with
But
the
I
book.
love the rawness. I love the reality of
Yeah.
like those horrors because it makes the characters very real to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Fantastic.
Well, because it also shows us as the reader that this was not like a first time thing. Like she's had this issue before.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's just that it's escalating, and at some point her dad could literally kill her, you know, and that's
But
what
her
Marcus
choice
is
is
worried about. And
either
so
to
that's why,
sleep in her car or, you know what I mean? Like she doesn't have anywhere to turn.
she
Either.
doesn't. And so I thought that was just very telling that she didn't want her father to go to jail, you know, but Marcus is like, we have to have this, because in his mind, Marcus is like, he's going to end up killing her, you know, and.
But from a victim's point of view, you put somebody in jail, that person now,
Right.
yes, there's repercussions to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic turnout. It was neat to see everyone's reviews and stuff. Bad. Lightning. So nice to see urban fantasy getting some love.
It's a little bit different.
I heard
Did
the
you-
fun.
Oh,
Yes,
I heard that.
That was awesome.
I think we might have good timing. I think it's coming. Can wait a bit. So good.
There's like a dragonfly in my room.
A dragonfly.
Yeah. That's why I keep looking around because I'll just see it. Maybe it's a huge mosquito. I think it's a huge mosquito.
Hi, Nicole.
Hey, Nicole.
And then hi, everyone.
Leslie. Hey, Leslie. Hello.
Okay. Nicole's bookish enough. Where do you all hear of this book? I read it ages ago and sadly it was never talked about. Where did you hear
We wanted to do a zombie book because Kat has her Zombiethon every May, and we just were kind of looking up different zombie books, and that one came up, and it had such a fun title and a fun cover.
And everyone voted.
Yes, I was going to say, and it won. And it won.
Yeah.
It won. Yeah. And this month we're reading Weave World.
Weave World by Clive Barker.
Which I want to thank y'all again for choosing a zombie book in celebration of Zombie Awareness Month and Zombiethon. Thought that was great. That was great.
Okay. It says the scene where Angel defeated Ed was really tense. Beating him was really exciting. Yeah, I like that scene.
Mm-hmm.
Like a bit of action at the end there, like serious superpower. Zombie superpower.
Zombie activate.
Zombie activate. No super glue needed.
Well, I think that was really smart on the author's part, because and now you want to read the second book to figure out Marcus has got to fill her in on what she can and cannot do, you know, and can lead her into
she needs a little help.
Yes, she does. Yes.
Hi, Nicole. Hi, Stuart. Bad. It's hard to get out of rock bottom situations. Yeah. I love the possibilities of getting out of nightmare life. It was uplifting overall, with a great balance of the gore and other material subjects. Yeah.
Agreed.
Thanks, Dad. Agreed.
Yeah. Go vampires.
3.5 stars. Yeah. I think we're all pretty similar, kind of. 4 stars for me as well. Yeah. 4 stars for me.
Yeah, so I think overall it got pretty good ratings from people, and I didn't have anybody say anything negative about the book, at least not in my group, as far as not liking it. So anywhere, you know, between 3 to 5 stars, more so around the 3.5 to 5. I mean, I think is a good rating, you know, for a book that you read as a group.
I think it's a solid read. Like it's not life changing, but
I mean, it's fun.
It's got me intrigued enough to continue.
Yeah.
No, it's just a lot of fun. Awesome character.
Yeah.
I thought Cliff's stomach was growling for brain. Thunderstorm. bad. It's very cheeky. So I'm seeing lightning outside, so it's going to start happening soon. Okay, let's see here. Banners.
Ooh, that was a good one.
That was.
Yeah, it's coming.
It's given us some ambiance.
It gives the show a bit of a vibe.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
so just see if we'll have to wait until it comes closer, and then you can really.
And then your internet just goes out.
Right,
No one
right.
has
Yeah,
Yeah, like Nicole.
The show, so if it goes out, we all go. That's enough. It's okay. Okay. I did have here ending, closing thoughts. Favorite lines from the book, I'll start. And it was really good, and nothing fell off.
Oh my gosh. That's
Yeah.
so funny.
No
Okay, any other closing thoughts? That's bad said. Come on, it was hilarious. You got to admit that last paragraph even was just so funny.
I'm always rooting for.
You might
things
have
to
to hurry. You might have to hurry. Did you hear that?
I did. It sounded way different. It sounded like static.
No, that was lightning right outside here. Whoa. Okay, carry on.
I just said, I'm one rooting for those things to fall off in these books.
Sorry, Bad and I were just having a bit of fun there. I know, kind of inappropriate, but hey, it's a zombie's life for you.
Yeah, I was excited when I found someone selling books 2 through 6, so I grabbed them. I'm not sure when I'll get to them, but definitely if I don't get to them by next Zombiethon, I will be reading the next one.
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah, I might save it for next Zombiethon as well. Maybe I can't wait that long. But
I'm definitely in it for Angel to see her, just to see her grow as a character.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm rooting for her.
Yeah, I'm also wondering because you mentioned a zombie mafia, or like there's some mafia things in there. So to me, I'm just curious, what is there a group of zombies? Like, is it some kind of like you remember how like in True Blood? I don't know if y'all ever watched True Blood, how they had a hierarchy and they had the place where all the zombies would go to.
This definitely reads like a 90s vampire book. So
so that's what I'm kind of wondering, if that's what Marcus is going to like lead her into this thing. And so then they're going to have factions that are like against each other and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just curious to see like where she goes.
True Blood was the one with Rob Lowe.
No.
What am I thinking
of? True Blood was with Anna Paquin. And what was his name? William Mosley.
Skarsgård, one of the Skarsgårds.
Alex Skarsgård. Christopher Maloney. He was like one of the head vampires as you get into it. But yeah. But I mean, that's just kind of like what I'm kind of thinking. It was
another Louisiana vampire.
Yes, another Louisiana. Yeah.
Yeah. So, ever any more comments before all hell breaks loose outside?
No, I think it was a good choice. Even though it wasn't like, hardcore post-apocalyptic kind of stuff, it was nice to have, a different take on, zombies. Yeah. I mean, to me, and the fact that you can intentionally, I like the word that Christine used, intentionally make a zombie. And then you have people who are out there that can kind of look out for them. And, yeah, I mean, I like character-driven stories. So to me, this is right up my alley because it's somebody that I can get to know, and if the author does a great job and can write the character well enough that you're invested and you care about it, and that person almost feels like you could probably pass them on the street and say, oh, that's an angel right there, kind of thing. I think they've done a great job.
She is an underdog, and I always love an underdog.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, should we say goodbye to some folk? Let's say goodbye to some folk, or to see what people are saying. And Nicole, it was a dark and stormy night. Yeah. I'm actually surprised. You did not hear that last thunder flash. Did neither of you hear what just happened?
No.
Yes, you heard the thunder. You heard the thunder, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it glitched out.
You didn't hear that lightning strike.
No.
Wow. Okay. Maybe it's a different kind of tone or different. Yeah. I'll continue the series. Well, I want to see what Angel does next. Yeah. Thanks, Minty. What kind of zombie personality would you be? I'd be a joke one.
Bad, you are a joker. Bad, you would be a sweetheart zombie. Bad is a sweetheart.
I like Cliff's skull in the background. It adds to the zombie part. Thank you. Talk about that skull, yeah. It's Lord Skull. Yeah. But I'm trying not to miss anyone. Okay, I thought the book lived up to the title and cover. There was so much more. Went way deeper than I expected.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah, I feel the same way.
Yeah.
Called Tyrion Twilight. I don't know Twilight.
Oh yeah. The hierarchy.
We Cliff read Twilight.
Yeah.
Oh, he was hot. He was a hot Eric.
Oh yeah.
And I don't even like blonde guys, but
I would definitely be like this.
Yeah.
Come closer.
you smell my neck.
Yes.
Stay safe, Cliff. No floating boats in the water. It didn't go well for Georgie. Stay safe. Yeah. You guys rocked Fright Club and Zombiethon.
I think the Zombiethon community was awesome, and it was fun to see everyone reading the book that even wasn't aware that it was a Fright Club pick. And I love seeing in your Discord just how many people are really enjoying this. So that was fun.
Yeah.
It's always fun to chat to people in our Discord.
Yeah, and this was my first year having a Zombiethon Discord. Like in the past couple of years, I had it within my channel Discord, and I was like, it's just my Discord's getting bigger and bigger as far as adding things to it. And so when I put it out there, I was like, to the zombie squad, I was like, what do y'all think? You think I should do it? So it's kind of like a last minute, decision. But I'm glad I did.
Worked well, and I think that you had I loved also all of the Instagram posts. People were really into it.
Yeah.
So
are we going to say goodbye to everyone?
I think so.
Before you get struck by lightning. I think you're playing a game, a dangerous game, Cliff.
It's weird, but it's like only been 3 times in the last 20 minutes, and I thought the storm was coming towards us. So yeah. Anyway, everyone, gonna say cheers now.
Yeah, thanks for joining us this month.
Thanks for joining in the zombie fun.
Thank you so much for having me as a guest. I loved it.
Pleasure. Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
Okay, this is where you say goodbye, and then you're awkward because you have to wait for it to. You got to wait for the thing to think. Hold the pose.